My
Yo,
my God, how are you, bro?
I'm good. Can't complain.
Oh shit, you got what studio are you at right now?
I am at LeBron Studios in Inglewood, California.
Laverne. That's you
Lebr-
say Laverne.
LeBron, Labren.
That's fire. That's
Yeah.
fire, man. For those of you who tuned in right now, I just want to just give you a good idea of who this person is that I'm speaking with, man. Zoe and I, we go back to Quad Studio days, and man, like you to see the growth and the accomplishments that you've achieved over the past many years, bro, is just phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? I personally know the hustle and the struggle and a lot of the shit that you had to go through to get to where you are today. So I just, it's so awesome to be able to have this conversation with you and let these guests be able to tune in and just hear from from your eyes, your ears, your experiences, what I'm saying, what it's like, being in the industry, and what it takes to really just go through what you got to go through to make it, you know what I'm saying. So I want to just give you the floor and allow you to just kind of introduce yourself and just kind of give them a little bit of background on you and what it is you do, all that you do, and just some of those accolades and trophies you might want to highlight.
All right. So once again, my name is Lorenzo Cardona, but everyone calls me Zoe the Engineer.
Mhm.
Um, I've been doing, man, I've been doing this professionally now for about 10 years now. But man, I've been doing music all my life since probably I was 9 years old, and got into recording and mixing all of that at the age of 17. So before anything really, I was a drummer. That's what really got me into music.
Mhm.
Then I just, somehow the engineering found me. So when I was like 17 years old, I remember I knew I wanted to do something with music, but I wanted to get into like really recording records and figuring out how those, how records are done and everything. But
Right.
I really like started getting really interested in just audio in general, and seeing like, man, I want to be that guy who pushes all the buttons on that board. Like, what do all those things do? So one time when I was in high school, they had a career day. This college, Jacksonville University, came through, and they gave me a pamphlet and showed me, what exactly was the name of what I wanted to do and what it was called, which was audio engineering.
Hmm.
And I got a little bit more insight about it. So I remember I went home. I was like, yo, mom, I want to go to school for this, but it looks like I'm going to have to go to school to Florida because there's also another school at the time, Full Sail, that's
Hmm.
in Florida, and there was really nothing around me. So and where I'm from in New Jersey, there's not much there wasn't much schools at the time that had a music program. My mom was like, hell no, you're not going to Florida. You're too young to go. So I was like, all right. So I had to figure some things out, and I just went to college in New Jersey. I found a college in New Jersey that had it, William Patterson University. They had an audio program, so that's where I went first. There, I transferred. I went to Bloomfield College in New Jersey, and that's where I got my bachelor's degree in music technology and concentration of audio engineering. So then after college and everything, I went through that. I still didn't really know what I wanted to do, like, or how to get into it. So I literally just picked up a regular job, and I worked for about a year at this tile warehouse.
Hmm.
And as I was there, I I was looking for an internship. And I was like, man, all right, I must have to go to New York to find this. So I took a day off from work. I went around giving my resumes out to different studios, and just so happens that one of the studios I went to was Quad Studios, which
Hmm.
was like one of the first studios that I went to that day. So I go to Quad, I give them my resume. I said they told me to sit there for a few minutes, and they asked me if I could have an interview right then and there. I was like, yeah, sure. And man, I'll tell you, I didn't know anything. I didn't know nothing at this point. I thought I knew something from college,
Mm.
I didn't know much because once the owner of Quad Studios, Alessio, was asking me questions, just like what I knew I didn't know anything. I was answering them. I answered them all wrong,
Fake it
all
till you
wrong.
make it, huh?
Yeah, man, all wrong. I was like, oh my goodness. So I'm thinking I wasn't gonna get the internship there. So I just went after that to a couple more studios, gave my resume out and stuff. Then I went back home. When I went back home, my sister had asked me like, "Oh, how was your day?" And I told her like, "It was good. I went to a lot of studios, gave my resume out." And she's like, "You think you're gonna get hired anywhere?" I was like, "I don't know. Hopefully, I do." And then she asked me if there was any spot I liked. I was like, "Yeah, there was this one spot I liked," but I answered the question so bad, like I don't think I'm gonna get it. Like they're not gonna call me. So my sister's like, just email them and thank them for taking the time out to talk to you and and for allowing you to go up to the studio. So I was like, all right, that's a good idea. So I emailed them, and Alessio got back to me and was like, hey, we have these hours during the week. If you're available and want them, they're yours. And I'm like, hell yeah. So I took the internship.
Right.
I took the internship, but I still, like I said, had this job. So I talked to the bosses at the job, and they would let me out early on like 3 days out the week to go to the studio. And in the beginning, that was working great. I was an intern and I was working, but then the job eventually fired me. So all I had was the internship going on, and I was like, man, I gotta go and do this hard because if I get another job with this on top, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm not gonna prosper in like this career.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get a job. I basically just went on unemployment and I did my internship there, and I interned at Quad for basically 13 months. So from Quad, yeah,
13 months.
yeah, 13
13 months.
months.
Now
Yep.
let me ask you this question. I'm gonna just because it pose questions pop up. When you went in and they told you you were gonna do an internship, how long did they tell you your internship was initially gonna be?
Oh, it was probably going to be just like, I had to do like, I think it was at the time you had to do like, you had to assist like 100 sessions, and then you'd be able to take the test. And then once you pass the test, you could become an engineer. So
The
it could have
shootout.
varied. The months could have varied, if you went that route, but they didn't really ever do that. Like you could still take the test and just be an assistant for like another 6 months to a year. So
Mm-hmm.
like at that time when I was coming up, there was a lot of great engineers in there established. And what happened in the internship that like was like a turning point was literally in 2 months, 8 interns quit or they got fired.
Mm-hmm.
So it was only two interns left, me and my boy Carell, and we had to work for 3 months straight every single day till they got more interns in, and they really weren't getting anybody in. But
Mm-hmm.
that gave us the ability to be to be looked at and to really like be helped with what we had to learn. And the owners really like they really helped us out. Like, damn, you guys are staying here and you guys have been working and working. Like, this is all we can do is like help you out and show you what you got to do so you guys can become engineers.
Mm-hmm.
So then um, I get hired after that. Uh, After doing the 13 months there, and my 13 months was brutal. Plenty we could get it. There's plenty of stories, but we could get into that a little later
Right.
after I say my whole story.
Right.
So after 13 months of interning, um, I started working as an engineer, and I was at Quad Studios as an engineer for 6 years. And my time at Quad Studios, uh, I became Diamond Certified Engineer for Post Malone Rockstar, Grammy nominated, and about 10 gold tracks. 10 tracks I worked on with gold, and about I'll say up to 15 to 20 tracks with platinum in there that I worked on.
Damn.
Man, I worked with anybody and everybody that walked in
Mm-hmm.
from all your favorite artists to the most legendary artists that ever lived. I've
Mm-hmm.
worked with at Quad, and it was always someone new that I worked with every day over there, and it was always a new experience. I definitely learned a lot with my time over there, and I definitely met a lot of great people there. But then at some point, I felt like it was time for me to move on. And you know, go accept another challenge. So then I started coming out to LA probably 5 years ago. And I will come out to LA. I started coming out to LA very slowly. I will come like 2, 3 times a year for
Mm-hmm.
probably, 2 weeks at a time in the beginning. And then as time went along, every time I started coming back to LA, I stood longer and longer. Then it got to the point I was coming in for like a month, then almost 2 months, and then I would go back to Jersey and work at Quad when I was back home. But
Mm-hmm.
then 3 years ago, was it? Yeah, 3 years ago, I finally made the move, and I was like, man, I gotta stay in LA. But there was a crazy story behind it because I wasn't even supposed to. My opportunity that came that helped me stay out here,
Mm-hmm.
it came off just like out. It was out the blue. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't working for it. It just fell in my lap. I could say. Couple years back, I had gone to Seattle
Mm-hmm.
and with a couple of my homies, and we just went to Seattle to have a good time. That was it. Not nothing about music, no, just have a good time. And I was like, after my trip there, I was like, man, let me check how much a ticket is to LA. I don't really want to go back to the East Coast yet. Let me go chill in LA for a little bit.
Yeah.
So um I go look, I buy a ticket real quick, and I come to LA. And I was gonna stay in LA for 5 days. My whole trip turned into 3 months. And
When you went, you were just going for
yeah,
5 days.
I was just gonna go for 5 days and fly back to the East Coast, and do my regular routine, go to Quad and work, that was it. But when I had came to LA at that point, I had a client of mine that was out here. That was a client of mine in New York, and he booked one of the studios out here. He booked Paramount Studios, and he had some people come by that he knows out here that he's good friends with,
Mm-hmm.
and they came by and they saw how I worked, and one of them was my homie Lawrence Chandler. We call him Fluff,
Okay.
and he's the one like, bro, you're dope. Like, I love to have you out here and we could work, come through. Like, let's see what you can do. I was like, yeah, man, I'm cool with that. I'll definitely come out. I'll go to the studio and work. So the studio I'm at right now is the first studio I started working at. Part of the team, 1500 or nothing. This is like my home base. So he had me come to this studio at that time to work for 3 days, and he had me work with some artists to see how I worked and if the artist fucked with me or not.
Mm-hmm.
And after those 3 days, like, they fucked with me, and they fucked with my vibe. They fucked with like the work ethic, the type of mixing I was doing, all of that. So then my trip was coming to an end. After those 3 months, I was like, man, I gotta go back home because I've been out here for a while. I gotta, take care of some things back home. So I went back home, and I stood home for like 2 months, and then I get a phone call from my boy Fluff, and he's like, bro, if you don't come out here like within this month, like, forget about this. Like, don't even come at all. I was like, oh damn. So
This is right after you had got back. You had just you had.
when I got back, and I was home already for 2 months.
Oh, okay, got
Yeah,
you.
so I came home for 2 months, and then I was meaning to come back over here, but I want to stay home for a little bit, save up some money so I could come out here.
Right.
So he goes, yo, like after 2 months, he's like, yo, if you don't come back out here, like, just forget about it. I was like, damn. All right, cool. So I took a leap of faith, and I just bought a ticket, and I came out here, and he set me up and, took care of me, put me in the right positions. And then that's when I came out here. That's when I really started finding out who 1500 or nothing is. So
Mm-hmm.
then I started getting involved in a lot of their sessions and working with a lot of different people. And I started building a good repertoire with them. And if you don't know who 1500 Nothing is, they're one of the biggest or the biggest music production group in the world. They
Elaborate
work
on
with
that for them, for the audience. Elaborate on that. Who
so
15?
so 1500 or Nothing. They are behind your favorite artist's music. So
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones that produced Roddy Rich's The Box. They help executive produce the whole album. They help produce Nipsey Hussle's Victory Lap. They help
Wow.
Yeah, they've
Wow.
worked with Chris Brown. They worked with Bobby Valentino. They worked with Kendrick Lamar. They're Jay-Z's touring band. They're Snoop Dogg's touring band as well. So like they really
They've
work
been
with
in.
anybody and everyone. They've been in the game now for like 15 years. It's been a long time for these guys that
Golly.
what they've been doing. And some of the people that are part of it, are part of Bruno Mars's team. So they work a lot with Bruno Mars and his last couple albums.
And this
Um,
is and this is this is this is the this is who you're with now.
yeah, this is who I'm with now. And then they have one of the great. They basically have the greatest songwriter of this era, James Fauntleroy.
Yeah.
He's one of the main people in this music production group. So
Wow.
like they cover all the bases in just music production, songwriting, the mixing. Even to the point of figuring out the correct track list for you for your album. Like that's how deep they go into all this stuff. The
They get
great producers, executive producers, and a great band too. When you see them perform live,
so they're
amazing.
pro- so they're producers, and they turn around and they'll be a live band for
Yep.
as
So
well.
yes, but they first started as a live band, and then then they got notoriety for producing after. So
Wow.
that's how they got into the game first, as being like one of the greatest live bands that was out. Everybody wanted them to be their live band. So that's how things. So that's like what I got into. That's what I was like thrown into over here.
Hmm.
So as I've been over here, we've worked with so many great artists, just different artists every single day come in.
Hmm.
And hey, all your favorite artists, they come to 1500 or nothing to get their production and to get their sound right. It's just a fact. They all come over here. They already have just this past year 50 placements.
Wow.
In 1 year, and I'm just talking about 1 year. Imagine what they've done in the past 15.
Right. So
But
so and while you're there, have you been able to apply your drumming skills to anything, or what are you doing at this point right now? Are you more intricately as involved on the engineering side of things, or how involved are you?
all right, so basically, they've helped me evolve, not just from being an engineer. So I'm an engineer. I'm a mixing engineer. I've
Hmm.
helped songwrite because they giving me the confidence to help them songwrite. They'll ask me, but the songwriters ask me plenty of times, like for a line, or what do I think of this? So that producing, executive producing, you know, um, man, now we went from not just music, like for artists, we're working on music for movies.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, so it's evolved. So
I
like
want
I
to.
could basically with where I'm at, I can basically get my hands into anything and
Hmm.
do anything if I really want to learn it.
Hmm.
So it's really up to me how far I can go. That's how much room of creativity and room of growth I have being here.
Wow. Now let me back up for a minute. So getting from where you are at this point, you came into the game. You came in wanting to be an engineer.
Yeah, I want to be an engineer
You wanted
for
to be an
sure.
engineer.
Yeah. I, hold up, I can't hear you. Yeah, last question. What was it?
Which it's unique within itself, because a lot of people will come in with looking at it as, okay, I want to, are they produce, or they're artists, or they're songwriter, and it's a great way to get your foot into the industry. But you actually, like you that was your first and foremost passion and love. You really wanted to engineer and work on people's records.
Yeah, yeah, because like all in all, I never really had the patience to produce. That's
Mm,
really it. I never had the patience to produce and to sequence a drum like a drum loop in one of these programs. Like I'd rather you just give me a drum set and I just go play it. So
hmm.
like that's why I didn't really really go that route at any point. So like I went the engineering route,
Hmm.
and I really wanted to get the engineering route because I just had a feeling I knew how these records were supposed to be constructed, how
Hmm.
they were supposed to sound, and how the to the point like how the lyrics are supposed to be, how they're supposed to sound. I always just had a feeling I knew how all those things would work, so I thought the engineering side would be the best way for me to go, so I can do those other things in the future.
Wow.
Yeah.
When now you like me, which is interesting because I thought that I was the only one who walked into the studio for the first time like I don't know shit, but I'm gonna fake it till I make it. But you can
Oh, I
and
faked it. I faked it. I
hard.
faked it hard.
So when did it click for you? When
I,
did
man, I'm telling you, it clicked for me probably 6, 7 months into my internship. I just remembered. I remember just one day being in the room, and I remember the interns fucked up on something. Like we fucked up on the patching in Q1, right? And so my boy David Rosner, we call him Roz, he got on our asses about it and forced us to sit in there for like an hour and a half to understand how to patch everything in and to us to figure out why the room was fucked up.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know, in that moment it just clicked and it just started clicking for me just from I remember I fixed the patch bay and it just clicked for me because I just finally saw it. And after just that moment, everything else started clicking. And within like 2 weeks after that, I started feeling like I started knowing stuff and I started working faster and I started working better.
Mm.
So like that was probably, yeah, like 6, 7 months into my internship.
Were you nervous? Because I mean, being in the engineer's chair is I don't if for those of y'all who haven't been in that seat, they say the hot seat,
It's the hot seat.
it's
It's
the
the
hot seat
hot
for real,
seat.
for real.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Were How was it for you? Like, were you nervous as shit?
When I first
Or
started
were you,
engineering,
yeah, like when you first started really going into sessions, like on a regular basis.
nah, I was already seasoned. Cause
Mm-hmm.
like as I was doing my internship, I started getting little things to do, which helped me out a lot. Like Roz really helped me out a lot to gradually, put me finally in the position where I will always be confident in sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't in the beginning when I started engineering, I was engineering sessions for free. I was still an intern. But
Mm-hmm.
he would put me on these little sessions where I can like practice. And then there was this one time he gave me a session that was 3 days straight, 12 hours each with Rostrum Records.
Oh, I
And
remember Rostrum.
yeah, with Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa was on it and all that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Back
I
back
had
back when
back
he was on it.
then, yeah, back then at that time.
Okay.
So I do this session. I do these 3 days with Rostrum Records, and they had the producer Illmind come in,
That's right.
and so I remember Illmind came in, and we worked those 3 days, and he goes to me man, like, yo, how long you been engineering? And I was like, oh, for like 2 years. And he's like, that's it? Like, man, I thought you've been in this for a while. I thought you've been at quad for a while, man. Like, you're really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I thanked him for all that and everything. And he, like, that moment, like, really gave me the confidence, like, yeah, I could do this. I could do this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So then eventually, like, probably it was like 4 months after, no, it was like 2 months after that where I finally got hired at quad. And then when I first started at quad, I didn't get on the biggest sessions or anything, but I still got on small sessions and that I was finally getting paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just doing as many sessions as I can, and eventually, probably 6 months after being a paid engineer, I just knew already I could be in the room and get anything I needed to get done in it, and I can basically do whatever the client asked me to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's cool.
I don't think that would have happened if I didn't go so hard in my internship. Like it happened that quick like that. 'Cause
I, I
it was just you gotta go as hard as you can, then
yeah,
just see what
yeah.
happens.
I want to touch on that too, for a bit, because I know we talked about this before. You've had experiences with, the generations that come up after you. I've had experiences with the generations that come up after me, and getting to the studio, and sometimes like, they don't, some of these experiences for it's different for every person, but I know what collectively the experience that I experienced when I was at quad, when we were all in the room working together and stuff like that. The experience that I received, if you're not you're not used to it, or you're not prepared for it, or you're not aware of it, but it's a bit like it's no walk in the park. You know,
Oh no.
it's grueling. And sometimes, the kids that come up after, saying the experiences that we went through have definitely shaped us to be stronger, and more mentally sharp when it comes to working and sitting in that chair. But a lot of the guys that come up, after sometimes might not understand the necessities of everything, every little intricate, part of being an intern to getting into engineering, or how that how it opens you doors for engineering or producing, or wherever you want to go, but why it's so imperative that
Yeah.
every little piece of the internship, even to the pieces that you don't think matters. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, for sure. So like as you said, like everything matters. You have to pay attention to detail. If you like, I remember when I was coming up, and also when I became engineer, the best assistants were the ones that paid attention to detail. So it could be you taking a client's order of food and making sure that you got everything on a list that they want and how they want it, and it comes to them just like that.
Mm-hmm.
That just that alone shows an engineer that when you're in the studio and you're working on a session, you're going to be paying attention to every little thing that's going on in the room and
Mm-hmm.
also in the recordings.
Right.
So like, you're gonna hear when maybe someone says this one word the wrong way. You're gonna hear when maybe the drummer hit the drum the wrong way, hit the rim instead of the drum, and you're gonna tell them to do it again. Like
Mm-hmm.
those little things, paying attention to detail mean a lot. And from being an intern, doing the things you have to do as an intern, it just shows that you have the focus to look for those little things when you get into the room and finally are able to be working in sessions and working with big time clients. And that shows the owners of the studio that they could trust you, and that you're gonna take your job serious and you're gonna do a good job. But I mean, I remember interning, I had to go get 50 red balloons exactly from Party City. And I remember me and two other people had to carry them through New York in the subway to get them to the studio. But before we left, we made sure we had 50. We counted every single one. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the interns was like, why we got to count them? He's not going to count them. Just bring the balloons. But when we got to the studio, what he do? He counted every
Every
single
single
one,
balloon.
every single balloon, to make sure there was 50 red balloons in the vocal booth while the client was in there recording. So you know what I mean? That's paying attention to detail, because who knows if we brought them 49, what they were going to say.
Right.
They probably like, hey, I paid for 50, I only got 49. Oh, well, why didn't you
Mm-hmm.
guys count them before you got here? And then you know who looks bad? We look bad as the
You look
intern.
bad.
Yeah.
And impressions matter. You may look at it like, well, I'm just the intern. Impressions don't matter today, but then that same person, you might, months down, you working, and you actually engineer, or you done moved up in the scale of things, and then that same client comes in and remember you for that fault.
For that one little thing, for that
That.
one little mess up. And
Mm-hmm.
then you never know too. The client could call the owner and be like, "Hey, listen, I don't want that intern in my sessions anymore." Well, why not?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't bring everything I needed exactly. Because sometimes too, clients will call and tell the owners, like that they had a problem with you, and most of the time they're gonna exaggerate it, so it makes you look bad. Like in all angles, it always gonna make you look bad.
Right. Right. That's crazy. Did you think back then, when you were just really walking in the quad, did you think that, damn, five 5 to 8 years down the road, I'd be, having opportunities to really just expand on my abilities in other ways, when all I wanted to do originally was just engineer?
No, I didn't at all. Not at
Mm-hmm.
all. I don't know what it is. Maybe I didn't dream big enough as I was growing up, but things I'm doing now I never dreamt of.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just all blessings coming. So it's like I never dreamt this big, like to be doing the things I'm doing and everything. Man, I didn't know that engineers could get nominated for Grammys.
Yeah.
Man, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know it could go that far
Mm-hmm.
at all. I found out when they told me I was nominated.
Yeah.
I was like the engineers get nominated. I was like, me nominated? What? Engineers get nominated? Yeah, they get nominated for the specific category you're in. I was like, this is crazy. So like everything now has just been the cherry on top.
Let me
That's the way I could look at it.
let me ask you this question because I know I know how humble and down to earth you are. Has it been has it been a challenge to remain as down to earth being in these different positions in these different rooms around you working with these different individuals and aside from that, how challenging has it been to deal with people who do you are in the room with that have high egos and personalities and demanding personalities. How challenging has it been for
So,
you and how you manage?
well, sometimes it is challenging because like so people come in with so many different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
So like you gotta be able to adapt to this person's vibe and try to get on their vibe and be understanding
Mm-hmm.
because lots of times we're not just engineers, there's times we're their psychologists,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's like when you break it down, they're the same person as you. They put their pants on the same way as you, but you just
Right.
have to learn how to communicate with them the right way. For me, it wasn't so hard because growing up, I was always around different people and different ethnicities.
Right.
So like I had a really good understanding of people from a young age, and especially when I was in college. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't so hard for me, and because I give off a good vibe, and I always walk in as being myself and trying to be just as authentic as I am every time I
Mm-hmm.
walk in the studio. So a lot of people gravitated to me and really just fucked with me because of my vibe. And I stood out their way and let them do what they do. Now, when I do have artists, that can be, I would say, like aggressive or have an attitude or something, I try to diffuse it as fast as possible. And I also try to focus even harder just to get the work done because I know that they're like I'm walking on eggshells right now.
Right.
But a lots of times for me, I like that heat. I like that pressure. I've always
Mm-hmm.
been that type of person that likes that pressure. Because oh yeah, that's how you coming at me. All right, well, we gonna get this done, and you're gonna be happy eventually. Like
Yeah.
that's just how I tell my. That's like what I say to myself in my head. So like I always liked that challenge when it was there. So it started just getting easier and easier after a while
Mm-hmm.
because after as long as you keep working in this industry and you keep working with different people and meeting different people and word gets around about you, you start getting more respect. So
Yeah.
then people act differently with you when they walk into the room because they've heard
Mm-hmm.
about you or or you were recommended to them by somebody, things like that. So after a while, it really got easier. And then I remember like Braz before a lot of sessions, he would talk to the clients and tell them about me and stuff, and he would calm them down a lot, then let them
What you
know
mean?
like not to be worried that you got a great engineer that's gonna be with you, he's gonna get everything done that you need done. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to worry about anything going on in the room. He's one of our best, he put that out there and things got calm. And then, but things could get crazy at any moment. So you gotta always be focusing up to go into with your A game because if a person like Roz is saying that you're the best, you got to go and show it
You got to
every
go
single
in
time.
strong. You got to
This
go in
isn't this
strong.
isn't a job that you could come in one day and be on your B game. You always got
Right.
to be on your A game every single time because impressions mean everything in this industry. So like, you know, uh your first impression too is even more important than like other impressions that you could give somebody,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like that's how I've always noticed that your first impression is always so important with everyone that you're working with, especially when you're in the room with them. Because sometimes too, there's people who can be very sensitive about other people listening to their music, and then they don't know who you are. So like, you got
Mm-hmm.
to figure out how to you know, like ease them down and make them feel comfortable in the room. And then once you get to that point, you're having a great session, and that's when everything else becomes fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
That's it's so impactful. Just the things that you don't realize walking in to the position that you really have the ability to really learn. It's such a life impacting role that you play when you walk in as an engineer? Is going back and
and
just like what you said.
and a lot of things too with this, like just to have a good vibe in the room. As a person, you can't be antisocial. You got to be
Right.
somebody that's sociable. You got to be able to talk to people and be able to communicate with people, but you can't let them either step all over you. That's one thing too.
How
You
you
cannot let them
balance
step
that?
all over you at
So
all.
can you give can you give like just a remedy of how do you manage to maintain that, that how do you maintain your integrity, and composure, and have you ever had a moment where you felt like this is kind of putting me out of my comfort zone, but I got to remember to just maintain myself. How do you do with it? How do you deal with that?
Well, so me in the beginning, I would sometimes get up and say I gotta go to the bathroom and just take a few minutes to myself if I felt
Hmm.
like I was getting aggravated or frustrated with the client. That's one thing I would do sometimes. But then the other thing too that I would do, I'd be inside the studio, like they were getting aggravated about something, and it probably wasn't even me like that I did. It could be a whole bunch of other things that go on in their life that they're mad about. You know,
Hmm.
I'd ask them straight up, hey, you okay, bro? Everything's all right. Like I usually put it out there in the air immediately. Because if there's a
Hmm.
problem, just let me know right now. Like, don't be around the bush about it because we should be able to fix this right then and there so we keep going with the session. So I'm the type of person that if I feel some type of animosity or something going on, I bring it up immediately. And
Hmm.
that helps too when you bring it up to them because they know that you're not a, if they start feeling like you're not a pushover and you you deserve some type of respect or authority in the room while you're in there with them. So
Hmm.
that's how I always did it. Really, like just and it doesn't even matter if it was just me and that person. It could be just me and eight other people in the room, and one of them is the client. That's the other people are their homies. You
Hmm.
know, like I would
Yeah.
still bring it up to them and tell them like, hey, like there a problem? Like just let me know. Like we could fix this real quick. And most of the time, it really just it will work out for my favor after that. And a lot of artists when I would do that will they I gained their respect for doing that. So they
Hmm.
started respecting me even more.
That's that's lit. Let me ask you this question. So when
Mm-hmm.
you started engineering, we touched on this the other night where you had mentioned how you had got the validation that you had been looking for in regards to the things that you did that you thought was right, the way that you would work, your work ethic, the way that you work and stuff like that. And you finally came across the right people or the right situations that really just validated for you that what I'm doing is correct. And in the engineering world, in the creative space, we're all artists at the end of the day. Even as engineers, I consider us artists within itself because we are painting with technology when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to sculpting the sound of the music. But you can have you can have a thought in your mind like this is how I feel it should sound. But have you ever felt compelled, or have you ever felt like the industry was trying to push you, this is the way that things should be, this is how you mix it, this is how it should sound, it should sound like that. How do you use judgment to to tell the difference between this is what this is how things would normally sound, but this is how it sounds right in my head, and this is how I want it to sound? And how do you separate the two to make the decisions that you make when you're mixing a record?
My decisions come from my musical background. So like I feel like my mixing style is more of a musical mixing style. What I mean by that is I have a classical music background. So
Mm-hmm.
when I hear audio in my head, I'm seeing the notation on a music sheet happen. And it's like the music is being written out in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things in that type of style of music with musical notation that they add. You know, they'll add the crescendo. They'll add what this note's supposed to be louder than this one, but softer than this one. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so those things I learned from music notation helped me out a lot to understand how music's supposed to move.
Mm-hmm.
And one and when me taking those tools that I have, it starts becoming a feeling, and then I could start feeling it. and if I don't feel certain things hitting, then it's not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So and I feel like my whole life I was like training my ears for this, because I remember being a little kid and I remember watching Snoop Dogg performing live on MTV. What's my name? And I remember how it sounds in the music video. And I remember going to my sister, and I'm probably like 6 years old. Going to my sister, like, why does this sound so different when he's performing it, but not in the music video? And she said, oh, it's not mixed. And I was like, not mixed. Like, all right, whatever. I didn't understand it at that time. But then I
Your
started
sister
getting
knew
it
what was
over
up.
the years. Yeah, she knew what was up. She
She knew what
definitely
was
knew what
up.
was up. And mind, she's like 12, 13 years old at the time. I don't know how she knew.
Mm-hmm.
But then I just always knew that I had an ear for like to figure it out, to distinguish certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But for me too, for learning how music is, like, this is how it's supposed to sound and how you can take it and evolve it. Um that really came from just listening to a lot of different music and a lot of different genres of music, not even just English music, but Spanish music as well. And just having that background of just being able to being a student of just the game of music, and
Mm-hmm.
just hearing how music has evolved from over the years. So like music now don't sound like how music sounded in the 50s. And I'm not even just talking about structure wise of how the song was built. The sound of it in general doesn't sound the same. So like,
Mm-hmm.
there's things you could learn from the past that can help you learn what to do next in the future, and how to
Mm-hmm.
expand on creating new sounds and upgrading the sound that we have now to be newer and different tomorrow. But lots of times too, you know, um, say like like just some in a song, like the snare, is not just like coming out right. It's just
Mm-hmm.
not hitting the way you want it to hit.
Right.
Um, or when you got, like, when you heard the rough mix, it's just not hitting one hit. You make it sound louder because it needs to be there. Those decisions I make because I just know how, like, a drum set's supposed to sound, where each part of the drum set's supposed to be sitting at.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like I said, I'm a drummer. But you start learning those things too from being in the room with the greats, and you start seeing what they're doing, and you start seeing what their secrets are on how their records have gotten popping. So like I just being able to be in the room and watching them work and see what they're doing exactly really helped me know how how records are supposed to sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also helped me learn how to upgrade these sounds or bring them out in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just sometimes, I could hear that maybe this kick needs a little bit more parallel compression than another record does, just because, the bass ain't kicking so hard. The bass
Mm-hmm.
guitar's not kicking so hard. So then I just really start, I really start messing around with that, experimenting as I'm in the lab, and I start doing a lot of trial by error.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while you start just understanding where it's supposed to sit every single time you're mixing a record. And basically, like, after that, you could start doing your own thing and seeing if it works,
Yeah.
like, and just experimenting and just getting feedback from people. You just
Mm-hmm.
gotta get a lot of feedback from people, and start just trusting in yourself after a while, and and play your records to people, and don't give them an idea of what the record's about. Just play for them, and see what they say, because that's when you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get the real truth out of them. So then you get that real truth out of them. You start understanding more about, like, what you know, and if you do know everything you need to know, so you could be successful in this industry.
Did you ever feel nervous about showing your work to people? To have it, get their opinions or points of views on it. Like, did you ever
Nah,
feel unsure about what
nah,
you were doing?
because I never felt like that, because I was always in environments where everyone was trying to just like work with one another and try to help each other out in different ways. I've always had like a strong skin for constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
So like I could take constructive criticism. I'm cool with learning. I don't ever want to be in a room that I'm the best.
Yeah.
What am I doing? I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
not learning so I could be better. You know, so like that's why I've been lucky to be around a lot of people who have been encouraging, you
Hmm.
know, and really want to see me win, and they want to help in any way they can to see me win. And I just always ask questions, even if it was the dumbest question. I remember just being in school and they're like the dumbest question. There's no dumb question. Ask any question that you have. So I was always the person asking anything. I didn't really care because
Hmm.
if I don't understand that, I'm gonna feel some type of way about it, and then it's gonna be stuck in my head until I do get the answer. So I've always been a person to ask whatever question I needed answered. It never
Yeah.
bothered me at all.
Do you feel that there's one particular way to mix a record or make a record, or do you
Nah.
feel like like how do one cipher the difference between, oh, this is a creative choice of songwriting or editing or a new sound versus, oh no, it doesn't sound right, or this song isn't written right, or this song doesn't, it doesn't sound like this is how it should be. How does one separate the two, the difference between the two, especially when you're the creator of it?
Well, I think it goes different for every part of a song. So like for songwriting, you know, um, one of the main questions you should be asking yourself is, are you staying on topic throughout the
Mm-hmm.
whole song? Is the person listening to the song gonna understand what you're talking about by the time the song is done? You
Mm-hmm.
know, if in your song as a songwriter, if the why is in the song, like what I mean by the why is, you could say I love you, I love you, I love you, but why do you love that person? That's the ticket right
Mm-hmm.
there. That's the money maker right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you listen to your top 10 favorite songs of all time, every single song has the why in it. Every single one. And then like I said, this music is psychological as well. So you got to know too what's catchy in your song so you could bring it back in the record again so it could stay stuck in people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, oh, this is the part that they're going to sing the most. All
Yeah.
right, well, that should be a part you look at to bring back in your record at some point, so it could get stuck in their head, so they want to play the record again.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like on a production standpoint, it's always like less is always more.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what I mean by that too, what I mean by that is, like, do you have enough space in your production where the artist can lay their vocals down and do everything they want to do on top of that production? Because you don't want to have this crazy production with so much stuff going on, and then there's no space for the artist to do what they do with their vocals and for them to shine. They're still the artist. They're still the one that has to shine the most on the record. So
Right.
less is always more.
That's an
And
impactful statement. That's an
yeah,
impactful
man.
statement.
Like I always compare it to like products that we have in the supermarket, like a bag of chips, right? The
Mm-hmm.
company never going to put the full flavor of their of on their chips in the bag. You know why? Because they want you to go back and buy another bag so you can eat that one. So you're not your cravings for it aren't satisfied after the first
Mm-hmm.
bag. They want to make more money off of you. It's
Yeah.
that's with everything we do in life. So it's the same thing with music. You don't want to add too much and you don't want to have too little, because if you add too much, then the listener psychologically, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna tell themselves that they're gonna tell themselves either, oh, the song's okay, or they don't like the song.
Mm-hmm.
But lots of times it's just your ears are getting tired, and that is telling your brain that you don't like what you're listening to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the psychological part about
Mm-hmm.
this.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's like you can't really give too much for the ears the first time
Mm-hmm.
around. You want people to hit that rewind button so you could get that extra stream, that extra view, that extra download. That's the key to like making a good record.
Mm-hmm.
And on an engineer standpoint, it's like the same thing. If you're doing your mixing and you have too much high end coming in and everything's bright and crunchy, the person's ear is gonna get tired. They don't want to hear it
Fatigue.
anymore. You have to have movement in your music.
Mm-hmm.
Your song should be like a roller coaster. That like after they hear it, they're like, "Damn, what did I just go through?" Like it was an experience they went through.
Mm-hmm.
So, and all those three connect with one another. You got the
Now,
songwriter. You got the songwriter that puts down the lyrics so the listener can relate to it and
Mm-hmm.
find something in the lyrics that that makes them feel like they're a part of it. You got the production there that gives the beat and the rhythm that has the person wanting to move, and
Mm-hmm.
it's telling the story of the lyrics. And then you got the engineer that puts everything together and makes it sound a certain way so the person who's listening to it can understand what the vibe of the song is and how the artist felt that day when they recorded it.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you this question: does less is more apply to mixing, the mixing side of things, when it comes to plugins? How many, you so you have some engineers who use a lot of plugins, a lot of buses, a lot of subgroups and this and that. You have some that use very few. What's your take on that when it comes to mixing templates and how much or how little to use?
And man, whatever gets the job done.
Mm,
That's really is whatever gets the job done, for real, man. There's been sessions that I mixed that sounded great that I barely used. I didn't even use a submix or a mixing bus, and there's sessions that I had to use multiple aux tracks and multiple mixing buses, and just for different sections of the production that I might have in the session or the stack of vocals I got. And it all depends really on what you first. It all depends on what you got exactly in the session to work with, and then
mm,
you can decide off of that. But I never mixed the record worrying about how many plugins I needed to use,
mm,
or that how if I'm using too many or if I'm using too little. I'm worrying about if the job gets done.
mm,
That's really it. That and lots of it's lots of times I've seen people use every single slot they've
yeah.
used on the audio track and the aux, and the
Mm,
record comes out great. I've seen people do the same thing and the record come out horribly.
mm,
It's really knowing it's really knowing what you need to do to get the job done, and also how you structure and layer out your plugins, like which EQs you're going to use, what comes after that, if you're going to use
mm,
another EQ after that, maybe because there's a certain frequency you got to take out now. Um and when I say I don't really worry about how many plugins I use, it's because a lot of plugins, or all plugins, they do something different. Every
mm,
single one. So you just take a little bit of this one and a little bit of what this one does, and you mesh them together. You got a whole different sound, whole something brand new that maybe no one ever used or even thought of using. But it just makes everything that much different. So you can always keep the listener enticed to keep listening to whatever
mm.
record you're working on.
Different textures and different colorations
You
from
know,
different gear. Let me ask you this question: do you prefer analog mixing or in the box digital mixing, or
I do a mixture of both when I'm able to. The world we live in, we're all doing everything in the box
mm,
mainly. But when I get a chance so that I could work with outboard gear and use analog gear with with what I have digitally,
mm,
I take full advantage of it. Real full advantage of it. But there's certain things about analog that you just cannot like live without. Like the sound of the board that you could be working with, like the SSL board,
mm,
there's never anything like it because you could be because every single board can have its own texture to it. Not the SSL
mm.
board out here in LA is not going to sound like the SSL board out there in New York.
That's interesting.
There could be something
Yeah.
different. It's like it's like a cook with like a barbecue pit. Every barbecue pit got a different taste because the seasoning inside keeps growing and growing after a while. So then it got its own, it moves its own way. That's how
Yeah.
gear is as well.
Mm,
Gear does the same exact thing. Certain gears are not going to sound the same as it sounds in other places just because of maybe the environment it was in,
mm,
or just how it turns on and how the tubes in it heat up, things like that. So me, that's why I want to always use different gear digitally and analog, because you could
mm-hmm.
start just building new things up that you never thought of before. You start coming out with things that no one ever even thought of.
Yeah. Yeah. That's dope. That's dope.
Hmm.
Let me engineer question: do you compress before EQ or EQ before compression?
I EQ before I compress,
Really,
and then I EQ again after, most like
really.
just because when because I do a lot of subtraction EQ first.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to take out a lot of frequencies that are just muddy or dirty or too crunchy, and then I'll put the compression on it. And then sometimes, you put compression on it, it can bring those frequencies back up, and
Right.
then you could start hearing other things too that shouldn't be there. So that's why I EQ again after, because then I got to bring certain things back down, or I'm able now to turn things down that I wasn't able to just on the first EQ.
Mm. Do you have a favorite reverb?
Hmm. Fat Filter Pro R, that's one of my favorite.
I like
The
the
Pro
Fab.
Reverb, yeah,
Yeah.
that one, and then also from UAD, the Capital Records Chambers.
Okay,
That's one of my favorite too.
that's fire.
Yeah,
What about compressor? Are you just like
one of my favorite compressors is definitely like the SSL series compressors. I
the
like those a
SSL?
lot, and like the legendary compressors, the CO1B, Two Tech, LA2A, and the
Yeah.
1176. Like those are a lot. Those are like my go tos when I really need to get something done, and I know that they're gonna do what I needed to do.
Hmm. Hmm. That's dope. Um, yeah. Dr. Soundmix said Valhalla. I like the Valhalla too.
Yeah,
Are you?
oh yeah, Valhalla, Vintage, for all of them too, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's fire. Are you are you one that new sound new plugin comes out? Oh, let me try it. Or are you kind of more stick with what I know?
No, you gotta try it. You gotta try everything that comes out new because you gotta stay up on the technology. You could fall back and then someone come and take your spot. So
Hmm.
you gotta be able to be able to adapt and learn new things.
Hmm.
So like I always try to, like, if I got a chance to get the plugin, I'm gonna get the plugin and check it out and see what it does, and then I decide if I like it or not. But
Hmm.
I definitely try to just experiment with any plugin I could get my hands on.
Are you big on referencing?
Yeah, yep. I'm big on referencing because I've seen a lot of the biggest engineers reference. So
Okay.
that's why I reference a lot too, and they got a plugin for that too now. The
The
metric
AB?
AAB.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and I'm telling you, a lot of the big time engineers use that. So I'm gonna use it too.
Hmm.
I'm definitely gonna use it too. You
Yeah.
gotta have these records sounding like what's out there right now, quality wise. So you gotta make sure that it's up there and up to par with and everything else. Because lots of times too, you're trying to bring that record to the label and you want the label to push it. You don't want the
Hmm.
label to turn it down because of the mix, because
Yeah.
they're used to hearing how these records are supposed to sound. So you got to
Hmm.
give them what they want.
You've accomplished a lot. So, what is the next 6 to 12 months looking like for you?
Right now, actually I'm working on one of my artists' projects. I'm finishing up mixing his project. I should be done in like the next week with that.
What's the name of
Then
the artist?
his homie, my artist name is Los the Savage from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay. Oh,
So
word.
we're yeah. So yeah, man,
I
he's
didn't know you were
tight.
working
He's
with
super
what?
tight.
I didn't know you working with a southern artist.
Yeah, man,
Mm.
bro, he's so fire, bro. Like, and he got something to say to the world that people can relate to, which is like one of the things, like one of the main things you need to have to be a successful artist. And he got a
Mm.
story that people can connect to. So like I'm really excited about that, putting him out.
Mm.
I just got invited to the Latin Grammys, so I'm going there November 18th. It's in Las
Fire.
Vegas, so I'll be going to the Latin Grammys, and after that, I'll be going back home to New York. I'm planning right now in the beginning of December to throw a mixer party at like a
Okay.
lounge. I think you went to one of my mixers I had back in the day in New York,
Fire.
that we used to just have just different people in the industry come together
Fire.
and just talk about what we all do. And
Hmm.
not it's not just engineers. Like if you're an artist and you go there, you need something, you will find it. You want a videographer, you need someone help you with your fashion and your image. We have all that there. So it's not just even just the music part. Yeah, music part. Yeah, you're gonna have engineers there you could connect with, producers and all that. But I like to have just the culture there instead of just the music there. I
Yeah.
want to have the whole culture there,
Yeah.
which will open up people's minds and help them understand that to become a successful artist is not just the music. Yes, the music gets you in the door, but you also have to be a businessman and understand everything else that goes on around the music.
Hmm.
So I got that going on. I got a few sessions back home. I'll be working while I'm out there, all the way in either all the way down from Philadelphia, all the way up to New York City, and in
Mm.
between. Um, and then coming back over here, after that, I'll be coming back over here to LA, and I'll just working a lot with 1500 or nothing, and just whatever comes in our way. There's always something new that always comes in, bro, and
Yeah.
always somebody different that you don't expect that's gonna be coming through to work. So it's just you got to be ready for it. Like last 2 weeks, I worked on the music for a movie, and I had to go to Atlanta for a day with some people from 1500, and we worked on music for a movie. And I didn't expect that. I got the call 3 hours before my flight to go to the airport, and you're going
Oh
to
shit.
Atlanta. Yeah, so so anything can happen.
Yeah.
And while being in LA too, like you can connect with so many different people. You just start working with so many. You start working with so many different people. All these different opportunities come up. So I'm always
What's
just like trying to keep my schedule pretty much open, just because I never really know what's about to come my way.
what's the biggest difference between the music culture of LA and the music culture of New York? Today's music culture, and work network. What's the biggest difference that you notice being bi-coastal, from working in New York to in the music industry in New York to now working in the music industry in LA and the people with
Um,
it?
in New York, it's more business like.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's like get in and out. You got 4 hours in the studio. You got to get this much done as you can in 4 hours. So it's just work, 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 work. Not enough time for creativity. In
Mm-hmm.
LA, you have all the time you want to be creative. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
helps you evolve and get into other things you could get into in the music industry. Over here, you have the time to sit down and try to figure out if the keys I'm playing on this record are the right ones. Let me try this one. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like this one. I'm gonna go back to the original one. But in New York, it's not really like that. You're wasting a lot of time, and you just have to get as much work as you can get done in the time limit that you have. I feel like in New York, when you're working, you have this time limit where it's like a countdown the whole time you're working. In LA, that countdown is gone. You don't have that. You just have the time that you have to be creative with the people you're around and to come out with something that's great. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I feel like I've been able to come out here, and my whole creative process has gotten so much better than what it was back on the East Coast. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm now being able to do other things I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do in a creative space.
Hmm.
So like it's that's a big deal for a lot of
Yeah.
people, man. Big deal for a lot of people because I feel like sometimes you could be like on a time limit and have this timer going down, and now all these creative juices that you could have aren't coming to you because
Right.
your mind is blocked because you're
Right. Right.
thinking
Right.
about, man, I only got 20 minutes. I got to put this down. I got to record this now.
Mm-hmm. No, that is definitely a fact. It definitely can impact your creative juices on that level. But let me ask you this: does working in the scene, coming from New York, going to L.A. versus, say, coming from L.A. going to New York, does it have a difference on the impact of mindset when it comes to being?
Yeah, yeah, it does for sure. Because like I said, like in New York is more business like, so you might not even be able to have the time to try to gain some type of camaraderie with the artist that you're working with. Like you're
Hmm.
just in and out. It's very just like robotic. I feel like, um, but in LA, the way you like start being successful out here is you build these business relationships, but they turn into friendships,
Mm.
And when you start having friendships with the people you're working with out here, like you can, then man, it's sky's the limit. What type of music you could be creating? There's
Yeah.
just like there's that comfort level there where anything goes. You could say anything, and you don't feel like you're gonna be looked at differently for what you said.
Mm.
So it's a whole different process when it comes that way. When that artist feels comfortable and and they feel comfortable with you and you feel comfortable with them, it's a
Mm.
whole different vibe, man. You start working on this whole different level because there's that camaraderie there now. There's that um you build that time there where you're able now to experiment with new things on these records to try new things out.
Mm.
In New York, you don't really get that because lots of times too, the artists don't live in New York anymore. So they're just there for a few hours most of the time or a few days and they're just in and out
Right.
onto the next city. So,
Right.
but in LA, they live in LA. So where they're going after the studio, they're going home. Where
Right.
they're going after the studio in New York, they're going to a hotel. That's a big difference, right? Just right there.
Mm. That's crazy. Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
I did notice that. Um, two last things I wanna bring up before we get ready to jump off. Roz, your relationship with Roz, we talk about Roz, but it is good to be able to have a conversation about Roz, what he mean to us, and just kind of get highlight just how important he was to the culture and just the what quad is. Um, how
So
what
was
elaborate
up?
on, I just want you to highlight, like, just kind of reflect on like who, for people may they hear the name Roz and they may not know who is this guy that we're speaking about. But what is Roz to you? Because to me, when I hear you talk about him, it sounds like I'm we've all had our own learning experiences with Roz. It sounds like there was a great impact of from him within the development of you and who you are as an engineer and a person today. I just want you to just get the floor to kind of highlight that.
All right, so Roz was the glue at Quad Studios, legendary booking manager. Um, he had been there, man, for like 35 years, man. He was there for so long. He was there before the new owners that are there now were there. But he was the epitome of Quad. Every artist knew who he was. Everybody knew him by name. He had everybody's phone number in his phone. So he been through the ringer. He worked at Quad overnights. He worked there during the day through his years there. He's seen a lot of crazy shit happen there too. He was there the day that Tupac got shot at Quad, and he's the one that helped put Tupac on the stretcher and called Tupac's mom with that to let her know that he got shot.
Mm-hmm.
He was there uh, when Justin Bieber was first coming around before Bieber was signed. He was around for Justin Bieber and booking sessions for Justin Bieber. Yeah, I've seen artists come in and sit there with him and talk to them for 15 minutes. Big time artists that like legends sit there with him and know him by first name and just speak to him for a few minutes before they went in their session. He always helped everybody out. He would work with your budget. He would try to get you in the best position for your sessions to get the best out of you. And just on an engineer standpoint, for me, he wasn't even ever an engineer, but he knew so much about engineering and just the world of the music industry that he knew when he said something about engineering, you had to listen to him and you had to
Mm-hmm.
respect what he said because you knew he's been in the room plenty of times that he knows how things are supposed to be. So I always gave him that respect for that. And he just knows how to groom interns and bring them up the way they're supposed to be brought up
Mm-hmm.
through the intern process, and not just from the intern process, but even after the intern process as your engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And he really understood people and their attributes and their character and their personalities. He knew which people were more bashful than others. He knew which ones can take more heat than others. He knew which ones needed more seasoning. what other engineers would need. And we grew like a close we grew a real close relationship to the point like I would sit down with him and tell him my issues. And even if I was stressed out about things at the studio, I got to the point where I could sit down with him and tell him, and there wouldn't be no backlash coming at me. But I'll tell you this, when I was an intern, he almost fired me once, you know. So like
Mm.
I almost lost my job and he almost fired me once because I basically threw a party in Atlantic City and I was having everyone from the studio come, and he wasn't gonna have anybody to work there the whole weekend until he called me and yelled at me about it and had switched things up. Yeah, yeah. But
Oh
then
shit.
like what I learned a lot from him too was just how he treated people. He never fired me over that,
Hmm.
and he always gave me my like another chance every time to prove myself. And you
Hmm.
know, I would even go to his house and hang out with him and talk to him for a while and just pick his brain and just, you know, hear his stories. And he just has so many stories about everything that he's been through while he was at the studio. But he was the real glue of Quad Studios, like the last one that was still at Quad that was from like the remnants of Quad from the 90s and the 80s. And,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
he was that connection right there. So, like,
One of the last of the Mohicans, man. The last OG.
yeah, yeah, like one of the last ones, man. There's never gonna be another one like him, man. There's a lot of bookie man. There's not many bookie managers out there like him either, man. Not at
Hmm.
all. He knew, like, okay, say there's a certain type of artist that does a certain type of music coming in. He knew what engineers were best for that artist and for that genre of music to put him in that situation to work. And
Yeah.
then he knew when to take an engineer that might not have known that they knew anything about that genre of music, and he will give them that challenge to go in there and see what they can do. And it made us as engineers come out better.
Yeah.
We come out better, and we came out more experienced.
Yeah.
And when he gained your trust, man, he will. Once he gained your trust, he will call you every day for sessions.
Hmm.
Once one, you know, so like I can't ever
Yeah.
like, you know, not pay my respects to him because he was definitely a big part of like, you know, just the person I've become right now. And you know, I've always tried to like represent him in the best way I can, even to this day.
Hmm. Yeah, no, no, that's why I just kind of wanted to touch on that with somebody who really, really knew Ross. I mean, he opened the door on my career,
Hmm.
to where it is now. So, and honestly, bro, if he could see you now, bro, he would be super proud. I would
Yeah,
definitely,
man.
without a doubt, know that he'd be proud, bro. He'd be top notch proud, man. But now with that said, like now here we are, the old, we're the seasoned guys, and now you got new guys coming up and stuff. So what can you say to these guys who come in and they're not used to the culture of being in the studio, environment and stuff like that. They may want to be an engineer and stuff, but what advice can you give to these guys when they might get in these rooms or get in these studios and feel like, damn, I'm pressured, or the industry's being too hard on me and this or that. What advice can you give to them to understand and process it, that this is part of your growth and training and development in the process. This is not meant to break you. It's meant to mold you and push you forward.
Man, first of all, you can't give up and you have to just face adversity. You just got to keep grinding it out. Grinding it, going every single day, put your hard hat on and grind it out and work on what your weaknesses are. And always know that you're not ever going to be the best because there's always going to be something new out there that you got to learn. That I don't know everything. Not any engineer knows everything. Not any producer knows everything. We always have to learn and keep and have that type of open mind to be able to learn more and always wanting to get better. That's definitely one thing. And you know, as you go along in your internship, you know, as you go along in this career, yeah, you're gonna have downtimes and everything where you know you might doubt yourself, but you also gotta know who you are as a person. you gotta also know like how badly you want this,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all depends on how badly you really want this and how hard you're gonna work on it. But like the number one thing is work as hard as you can and grow from every experience that you go through, bad or good, because you're gonna come out better for it in the long run. Even when you have your worst experience, you can learn something from it that's going to make you better. And lots of times when you're going through the process, especially your internship, you're supposed to be broken down. You're supposed to be broken
Mm-hmm.
down so you could get built back up. You got to
Mm-hmm.
hit rock bottom so you could be built back up and become better and stronger at what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, you don't know everything that's out there. So you just have to keep learning every day, because if you want food on your plate, then God's going to give you that food on your plate if you put the work in.
Mm.
But don't complain when you got the food on your plate. When you finally got it, that's what you really wanted. So
Know
you
what you
gotta
want.
you gotta know what you want,
You
and you
gotta know
gotta
what you
you
want.
gotta accept everything too, because you don't know how long this career is gonna last. You don't know when's your last day. You don't know if this could be just a 5 year run, or you be in the game for decades. So you
Mm-hmm.
just have to keep working and working at it so you can make this your future. And always try to have fun with this, because the first time we ever did this music, we did it because it was fun and we loved it. So you
Yeah.
can't forget that. You can't forget that at all. Not
How do
one
you
bit.
how do you keep that? Because you know we know the industry can it can wear you down at times. So how do
Hmm.
you keep your fun in this?
I always try to find something in a record that I might like, even if I don't even like the record. Maybe there's a sound there that's interesting to me, and it keeps me focused and interested in the record and keep working on it.
Hmm.
That's one thing, and I'm always trying to learn. That's
Hmm.
really it. What I noticed for myself is what made me love doing this was those times when I was really learning, when I didn't know it, when I was learning about it, and
Hmm.
when I was able to try new things and mess up and learn from my failures. So I always told myself that I have to always be willing to learn and learning from anybody. It doesn't matter if it's someone that was in this industry for 50 years, is not, or if someone that's been working doing music in their bedroom for 5 hours. You could
Hmm.
always learn something from somebody. And for me too is keeping myself around the youth. The young ones are the ones
Mm.
that tell you what's going to be popping on the radio and out there. The
Amen to
young
that.
ones control it. The young ones
Hmm.
control the masses and what's going on in the music world. So I
Hmm.
try to keep myself around the young bucks as much as I can,
Yeah.
because you got to know what their culture is. You got to know how they're moving. You got
Right.
to know all that, and it's like you might not like it. It might be out of date for you. It's not
Major key.
like your generation. It's not something you do, but you got to be able to understand it
Big
and
key.
and and adapt around it and put it into your repertoire. I'm
Hmm.
always trying to add tools to my toolbox. So I'm
Hmm.
always trying to figure out ways to add tools to my toolbox. And if you notice, a lot of these big time producers or big time artists that have been around for the longest, they
Hmm.
have music with the young ones that are younger than them. They have records with them, and it
Hmm.
keeps them relevant, keeps them new, keeps them fresh, and it keeps them learning every single time. There's plenty of examples out there that show that. So it's like, you got to be open to that. You cannot act like you know everything and that you're better than everybody. You just
Man.
can't. Not at all.
Man, man, yeah, no, good, wise words, and gems from the experiences have been tried and tested to be able to give this pay it forward and give that experience and this advice back to the ones coming up and above beyond. Let me ask you this last question,
Hmm.
right before we wrap up. What advice can you give to an artist who's like at ground zero and don't even know, how to get, how to reach or what steps to take in order just to propel and get in this environment.
Yeah.
What?
So I'll say it like this. Before I got in the industry, I did not know one person. I didn't know no executive producer, no one at a label. I didn't know nobody that had a contract. I knew nobody. Only
Mm-hmm.
people I knew that was doing this music was the same people that was from my hood and that had the same love for music as I did and was trying to just make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's first and foremost. And there's we and this is before social media and everything. We
Mm-hmm.
got social media now. Contact these people that are in the industry that you want to connect with. Try and see if they'll hit you back. Lots of times they will hit you back. You hit me up, I'm gonna hit you back. That's just
Mm-hmm.
how I am. And know that there are people in this industry that do want to learn and want to see you prosper and want to see and want to help you get your music where it needs to go and how it needs to sound.
Mm-hmm.
So don't think that everyone in this industry is like stingy and don't want to help. There's plenty of people out there that want to help. My boys out here, 1500 nothing, got an academy out here, their own school that they built just to teach the next generations on how to do this music, on every aspect that you want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have people like them doing that with the amount of success they have, that's a big blessing. That's
Mm-hmm.
a huge blessing for them as well because they could give their knowledge out to the next generations and see them grow as well. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go and find the answers you need for what you're really trying to do and do your research. There's enough research out there right now. There's enough things online right now that you can find and do what you need to do and the answers you're trying to find. Like, man, it's just so much easier nowadays to find the answers you want. Like for me too,
Mm-hmm.
the best thing I did was go to school for it, and I did an internship. And as I was in an internship, people were coming there, and I was meeting them there. You got to be sociable too. A
Mm-hmm.
closed mouth don't get fed.
That's the
Closed mouth
truth.
does not get fed. People don't know what your aspirations are until you tell them. So you
Mm-hmm.
got to be out there and telling them, even if it looks like you telling them and it's like irrelevant to them. Get it out there because you got to plant the seeds. You got to plant
Mm-hmm.
seeds in people's heads. They might not work with you at that moment, but 5 years down the road, they finally work with you, and everything changed because you kept going at it and you kept planting seeds.
Mm-hmm. Man. Gems, bro. That man, I know everybody who's tuned in and tapped in on this conversation right now is definitely getting a wealth of knowledge and information, and things to take away and really learn from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you touch down in New York,
Most likely coming back to New York. The end of this month is looking like I'll be flying in on Thanksgiving, but no later than December 1st. I'll be back in New York, New Jersey area.
okay. Keep me
Yeah,
posted when you coming back when you for sure touching down and you planning on pulling that mixer together. And if you got
yeah, for
any
sure, for
information or
sure.
flyer and stuff that you want me to pass along, I'll definitely share it and invite some people out and stuff. And
Yeah, and anybody and everybody could go. That doesn't matter, if you're a beginner at this or you're establishing this. This is just a place where everyone can network, have a good time, let loose, and you gain people's experience. You gain from people being around you, and you're in that vibe you want to be in if you're really trying to do this music stuff.
mm,
Like, and this is just another step. This is just another tool to use so you can find those answers that you need if you're starting at this or if you want to take your career to the next level. These are the type of things you got to do. Networking, super important, super, super important. So
mm-hmm,
events like this, I highly suggest you go to and just, you never know who you can meet. You never know who you can click with. And then that person could take your whole entire brand, your whole entire music to a whole other level you never thought of, man.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Man, facts. Um, Might have to do this again, bro. We definitely
That's
have to do
cool with
this again.
me.
I definitely want to do another round with you of conversation and probably give some guys some guest the opportunity to just kind of jump in and touch base or maybe play a song, let you hear it or get some advice from a goat, man.
Man, that's cool with me, bro. You know already my phone's always open to you, and I'm down with doing this all the time. I love doing stuff like this. It's
No,
cool
thank
with
you.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you, bro.
man.
I tell
For
them, man, I
sure,
was
for sure.
I mean, I'm blessed to just be in the position I am to just, be amongst, great individuals and stuff. So this is my way of just using my platform to be able to just, you know, turn the floor over and let people hear and be a part of the great conversations that I'm able to have with, individuals myself, even just in the growth of my own career and just, man, it's a blessing. Thank you.
Yeah, man, this is a blessing for me as well. Like, like you know me, like I'm not a big rah rah guy with everything I do. It's just I work hard. I put my hard hat
Hmm.
on, and I keep going at it. That's it, man. That's all. I'm still the same person I always been. I try to be, and I just know I just gotta keep working at this to just see where it takes me. What's the next thing that could happen next? That's really it. I'm just trying to enjoy this journey as best as I can and as long as I can until they throw me out of this. Then that's when I'm gone until I die, whichever comes first.
Amen to that, man.
Yeah, man.
Amen to that. Well, Zoe, bro, I know man, this has been one of my best interviews, bro. Like, I don't call them interviews actually; it's conversations because for us, it's just natural conversation and
Yeah,
just,
yeah, for sure.
just letting people really just absorb and get some things out of this. But man, this has definitely been one of my favorites. You know what I'm saying? Thus far, having this conversation with you. Um, Man, if I'll definitely post your information. Let me know, if you got any information on that mixer that you want me to share on that. I'll definitely share it. And I can't wait to
Yeah,
see
for
you
sure.
when you get in the city, bro. We got definitely got to catch up in the flesh, man. I'm looking
Oh yeah,
forward to
for
that.
sure, man. We gonna get up. I gotta go to New York whenever I'm back home. I always gotta go to
Mm,
my stomping grounds there I used to be at all the time. Every time I go back home, I go back to my city and I go back to New York. That's it. You know what I'm saying? This thing does not stop. It could me going back home don't be really a vacation because I'm too addicted to this.
I
I gotta
already
go
know.
show my face. You know. So
I
we're
already know.
definitely gonna catch up, bro. We definitely
A-
will.
Absolutely, bro. We definitely got to get some things turned around too. I definitely wanna get some fire and some coals in the iron and just start cooking with you, bro. So
That's cool with me, man. You
definitely
know I'm
looking
down
forward to
with
that.
that. Let's get it going.
Already, brother. Well, shit, you have a good night. Thank you so much. I know the guests will thank you as well for just tapping in and just dropping gems on them. And man, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Keep doing
Appreciate
what
it,
you're doing,
man.
bro.
Yeah,
Proud
man.
of
You have a
you.
good
I'm
night
proud of
too,
you.
bro. Thank you, my
Absolutely, bro.
guy. I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it,
Absolutely.
bro. And like, you should be proud of yourself too, bro. I seen you grow from the first day you walked into where you are now, bro. Evolution, baby.
Man,
Keep evolving, baby. We got to keep evolving out here, bro. That's the only
man.
way to be better people.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. I'm blessed to have the peers that I have that just keeps my wheels turning and keep me growing, going and growing and just striving to be great. So,
Mhm.
man, that's a thanks to you, bro, and all the other ones around us. So, thank you for that. Thank
Anytime,
you, bro.
bro. Anytime. You're welcome, man. I appreciate you too, bro. Like I said, I learned from everyone I can be around. I've learned a lot from you too, man. So like everything I'm doing now is not just me, bro. A lot of people had their hands in on it, and a lot of experiences I've had with different people and experiences I've had with you have like helped me grow and become the person I'm at right now and brought me to the level I'm at. So, I can never like say that I did it all on my own because it's definitely not true.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for that. That means a great deal, bro. Absolutely.
Anytime, my guy. Well,
So
yo,
look,
yeah, man.
couple weeks from
We,
now, I'll be seeing you soon.
yeah, for sure,
I will definitely
for
be
sure,
making the
for sure.
toast. We'll definitely be toasted to where we are. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to that,
bro.
bro.
That's
I can't
cool with
wait,
me,
bro.
bro.
I can't wait. I'm tearing on this shit. Got me all teared out about it and
You
stuff.
funny,
And a
bro. You
sentimental
funny.
moment. Like, damn,
Yeah,
look,
you fucking funny.
bringing the violence and shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit,
Oh
man,
shit.
damn. No, it is sentimental to me because I'm like, damn, like I just think so much about damn how wet behind the ears I was when I first got to New York, bro, and just first got to Quad, and it was just like, man, it was just like mega city to me, and just like to see, the journey, the experiences and growth and just relationships I've been able to just connect and build with, what I'm saying, from then to now is just it's man, it makes it that shit make me want to shed a tear, bro. I'm gonna
Yeah.
start. Look, I got a collection of tears right here.
Oh shit.
But nah, bro,
Yeah.
you have a good night, bro, and thank you so much, man. The live. should definitely be saved on my gram. So I'm definitely gonna reshare it and make sure everybody is tapped in on this to just tune in and just
Yeah,
really
I'm gonna share
get
it
this
too, for sure,
information.
for sure. Definitely
So
share it. And everyone out there that's listening to us, watching us, like, you got any questions? You want to hit me in my DM? Just hit me up. You know what I'm saying? Just hit me up whenever you like. It don't matter, man. I'll eventually get to you, for sure, for sure. Let's get it going, people.
my
So,
man,
yo, my guy, you have a good night, bro. I really appreciate this. Really appreciate the conversation we just had, bro. It's been dope.
absolutely, bro. No, I just wanted to shine a light, man. Like, look, I know somebody who's dope as hell and is achieving so much, and the people that I know, I want y'all to be able to just know who this dope individual is. So, man, I'm glad I was able to do this, bro. It just use take this time to just shine some light on you and give you your flowers, bro, because you are fucking killing it. So,
Good looks, bro. Appreciate it,
absolutely,
man.
man.
Well, I'll see you.
But yeah,
I'll see you in a couple weeks, my guy. Probably like
absolutely, bro.
2 weeks from now. It looks like.
Man, time flying, bro. We about to look. You
Yeah,
gonna look. You gonna wake up tomorrow, and we'll see halfway through November. December's gonna be right around the corner. So,
yeah, for
yeah,
real, for real, for real.
absolutely, bro. Well, you have a blessed night, and I will. We'll talk. We'll talk soon, bro.
All right, cool, man. You too, bro. All
All
right,
right.
peace.
Peace. That was dope. That was definitely a super dope live conversation, man. I hope y'all got some really good, insight, information, advice, and just learned a lot. I learned. I'm always learning something every time I do these conversations and stuff, just from the individuals I'm just blessed to have be able to have these conversations with. So this is a learning process for me too. So, man, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for taking the time tonight to just kind of tap in with us, and just this is the third crown crown talk conversation, and they just keep getting better and better. The guests keep getting better and better. It's just the gems that are dropping, the advice that's given and stuff, and just the testimonials and stories that are told by some of these great individuals. Man, it's just is this is where I'm glad to have this platform to be able to allow people to get that. So I hope y'all enjoyed this, and at this point in time I'm about to tap out. Shout out to everybody who tuned in. Shout out to We Are Crown Etiquette for once again coming through and setting this up. Make sure that you are following We Are Crown Etiquette. That is the home base. So we got a lot of different things that's also coming in the works. We got new music that's dropping from Wendeezy, Child's Play No Games. I got new music coming out myself. We got another Elevate Your Standards mixtape that's getting ready to come through. So we got a lot of things in the works. And of course, more Crown Talk conversations that's going to be coming up soon. So you guys have a good night. Thank y'all for tuning in. And I can't wait to bring you the next one. Peace.